say, have you ever been in an experience where your parents like gave you a timeout, where you had to go sit somewhere or, a little timeout area. And, in a way, that's kind of what meditation is. Like adults are giving themselves a timeout. And, we get to look at these ways of how we're holding stress or we're angry about something. And we've actually learned, like, if I'm really tense and angry, a really good response is to just stop. And and stay still for a while, kind of almost like stew in our anger. And but we look closely and we're concerned, like, what is really going on here? How can I decrease my stress or my suffering around being angry? Because if we're not careful, when we're angry about something, we can really then do some harm. So in this class, we usually will start with this stopping. And it is just a physical, now I'm going to stop, put everything down and just be here. So why don't we settle in and find a physical posture. You might shift a little bit and also right away, what we're doing is we're kind of seeing things or being aware of things we're typically not aware of. And one of the main things is our body. So we're just feeling even the initial grounding, just body settling in. I'm not, I don't have to go anywhere. In fact, I'm really completely here. You might close your eyes, because when we close our eyes, then we're not distracted by it. We don't see anything. And we can really feel then. We're just feeling. You might take a few deeper breaths, actually, that sometimes we breathe deeper and then it helps us feel inside. And those initial waves of breath can help kind of soften. Maybe soften your face, relax your eyes. It's almost like we're careful, like, I'm not even meditating yet. I'm just noticing things I typically overlook, how I can actually sit in a way where I feel my breath. There's just a breath flowing. Can feel good to relax your throat, kind of quiet your throat. Or just so you can choose to relax your face. I don't have to hold a certain expression. Soften your skin, soft. Sometimes we can almost feel in the body this pull, this urge to like, well, I gotta get up and do something. Well, we see, no, actually I'm really absorbed in this kind of wisdom of non-doing. Feeling in the body, like the, it's good to notice the smallest perception of I'm letting go. Softening your forehead. Can you feel the air moving through your nostrils? At the very tip of your nose. I would even describe it's this feeling kind of that you're coming alive, this because when we let go of tension, it's like a dam opening. And like energy can really flow. Things really start to flow and move. You can imagine space around your brain or in your skull. There's nothing to figure out. And that can be a lot of stuff we put down. Oh, I'm so used to all the mental toiling away. Gotta figure everything out. This is such a contrast right now. I'm noticing all these feelings that I typically don't quite notice. Feeling the breath moving down to your belly. Eyes are soft, kind of open. It's like the feeling of being curious. What happens when I'm still? It's good to just do it all again. Bring awareness to your forehead. Soften. Feel the air moving through your nose. Aware of your throat, inside of your mouth. And aware of your belly. So each time that we stop and we practice, we could just be really honest with what all is going on, what we're noticing. Things like, like I clearly haven't mastered this yet, you know, and oh, that's okay. Um, and a lot of the teachers, a lot of teachers who teach this practice will admit, like, I'm not enlightened, and yet that, mm, that I also strongly feel that shouldn't stop me from sharing, and that we're not here, to even be, I mean, this would be wrong understanding about all of this. Like, well, clearly I'm never going to be enlightened, so why bother? you know. Um, but even right now, even that short practice we did, you could even notice, like, well, how do I feel now? What did that brief little practice, what happened? I mean, it's so true. I maybe say this almost every class that when the Buddha really noticed this complete freedom of stress that he experienced, and then the thought of teaching this was like, oh my word, it's like it's almost unteachable. Or he could share his whole process, like, but the Buddha had to walk his own path of doing that work to get there. So um he finally made the decision, but it's worth sharing. Even though it's so subtle, it's almost impossible to explain what we're doing, because it's just so subtle. Like if I say, sit here and then, watch your breath, it can be like, so what? Um, and it's only through our, real determined kind of wholehearted practice that we start to have, we could just say, like a shift of our whole perception and how we see things. And what usually happens is a shift away from a self-centered view. And maybe you've already stumbled upon this in your experience. When we're here to see things that we, typically don't notice, or even when we were just practicing, if you were able to let go of some tension, then we could learn. I know one of my teachers, Phillip Moffitt, would say, he always would say this at the beginning of the new year. This was like his wish for people. He would say, may you cease to be the cause of your own suffering. And like, that's precisely what we see here, is where when we're self-centered, we tend to like blame the world for our suffering. We blame other people. We blame our politicians, everyone else is the problem. And that's a pretty, common view, really. Like, look, I'm good. I'm one of the good people. So if everyone else was good, like me, and I know this is very generalizing, but just to see how we kind of play, that kind of plays out within us. So a lot of the teachers would say, hey, look into your own heart and just see the little thorns in your heart that you've placed there. And that when we're sitting here, it's like, when you like soften your face, relax your face, it's like a little thorn comes out. Oh, that feels better. like, wow, I'm the one like jabbing my own heart. So we study this, how we can cease to be the cause of our own suffering. And in a same, maybe in kind of a similar teaching, I've maybe read from this book before. This is one of Thich Nhat Hanh's books called Being Peace. But it really does point to how this practice is about no one else. How we tend to have like our happiness or our level of stress depends on if other people behave well. And this kind of flips that whole way of seeing things. So I'm going to read from, so this book is called Being Peace, small book of Thich Nhat Hanh. Chapter 2 is called The Three Gems, but it just starts, I'll just share the first few paragraphs. He says, and bear in mind, this book was written in 1987. Many of us worry about the situation of the world. We don't know when the bombs will explode. We feel we are on the edge of time. As individuals, we feel helpless, despairing. The situation is so dangerous. Injustice is so widespread. The danger is so close. In this kind of situation, if we panic, things will only become worse. We need to remain calm, to see clearly. Meditation is to be aware and to try to help. I like to use the example of a small boat crossing the Gulf of Siam. In Vietnam, there are many people called boat people who leave the country in small boats. Often the boats are caught in rough seas or storms. The people may panic and the boats can sink. But if even one person aboard can remain calm, lucid, knowing what to do and what not to do, he or she help the boat survive. His or her expression, face, voice, communicates clarity and calmness, and people have trust in that person. They will listen to what he or she says. One such person can save the lives of many. Our world is something like a small boat. Compared with the cosmos, our planet is a very small boat. We are about to panic because our situation is no better than the situation of the small boat in the sea. You know that we have more than 50,000 nuclear weapons. Humankind has become a very dangerous species. We need people who can sit still and be able to smile, who can walk peacefully. We need people like that in order to save us. Mahayana Buddhism says that you are that person, that each of you is that person. So I remember reading that many, many years ago, and it's always stuck with me. When I wonder, like, why do this work when the world is a mess? People around me are like, well, they're clearly not interested in being calm. But I really do think it is important to remember that this isn't about what other people are doing. It's just that you are drawn here because you're interested in being free. And truly, when you have given yourself that practice, or when you've practiced remaining calm, then other people really, really benefit from this. Whether it's your household, people at work, you're in a meeting or somewhere with people and things are getting a little tense. It's like, if you can stay really clear-headed, I mean, it's kind of shocking, like what other people can perceive and feel this, um, when we don't get caught up in that energy. And this is why formal practice on the cushion like this is so important. Um, we really strengthen that capacity. One of the teachers at Common Ground, Shelley, is a social worker in a high school, and she just like she feels like she doesn't want to quit her job because she's like, that's the environment I thrive in, working with teens in crisis, and just like right there for them. And um so we ourselves, like, we turn into a gift for the world, but not being confused about, well now, um I'm some kind of meditation master. We're completely freed of that self-centered quality. So let's go ahead and practice a little more of giving ourselves this gift of being free. And that's where it kind of starts, is this deep kindness towards ourselves. And it's almost like our cup overfloweth, with just naturally we share this kind quality with others. So go ahead and maybe adjust a little bit. And so you're aware, like, this is a posture that is comfortable, and I can stay alert, relaxed in this position. We're interested in what really works here. Is it like just taking some deeper breaths? Does this lead to a feeling of being relaxed and open? Sometimes if my mind is very active, it helps me to stay, not only take a deep breath, but actually stay with it for a while. I'm right here. It gets quite simple, like I'm a person sitting, quiet, and if it feels like not so quiet, and you're aware, like, oh, well, what's going on? What is present right now? Sometimes it helps to let the awareness really move, like aware of your feet. And do that in a knowing way. I'm aware of my feet. Or aware of sounds around you. It's happening right here, real time. You typically don't notice. That's why we can practice being aware of the breath, because usually we're breathing, but we don't notice it. And the breath really flows, or it could if we, like, could you breathe in a way that feels smooth and steady? Letting your shoulders relax down. And at the same time, a kind of a lifting up through your spine. Even imagine, feel your spine. Can be interesting to use your imagination and imagine your breath moving around your spine. And we really just soften and relax. The throat is soft. You might even notice the absence of ill will. Or noticing just this wish for all beings to be free of suffering. Aware of the space around the heart. And some of these instructions you might notice they really work for you. Or if they don't, that's okay. I just like to offer a variety of practices. And I feel your lungs moving, kind of that element of air just moving around. The flow of the breath. It leads to like everything moving and flowing. The thoughts come and go. Explore this feeling of space inside. And how this beautiful gift that you give yourself. For planting these seeds of kindness, of remembering. Oh, I can choose to be free of tension.
And as Thich Nhat Hanh, love that teaching where he actually instructs, bringing a little hint of a smile, whether it's around your lips or a sense of kind of smiling around your heart, your eyes. So it is really important or good to remember how when we come to a class like this and when we practice, it's just this kind of hard to explain, like lasting effect when we stop and we really remember this possibility of being free and decreasing our own stress. And how it's like really natural. We just do this, but like remembering almost how to love ourselves and how to take care of ourselves. So thank you so much, everyone, for showing up